Hey all, hello and welcome to yet another episode of Founders Meet with Pehya Foundation, where we get to meet awesome founders from all around the world and share the common vision with Pehya Foundation. And today we have with us Beata Young, founder, Women on IT, one of the biggest communities, I would say, focusing on community inclusion, mentoring, workshops, and many, many more. Beata, welcome to the Founders Meet. I'm so excited to have you here. How does it feel?
Well, it feels exotic because I didn't go to India, where PPR is based. I've never gone that far. The closest to your country I've been to was Hong Kong, and that's about it. But I am grateful for what you do, and it's great that we can communicate same vision, which is bringing more women into technology.
Yes, that is excellent, and one of the same visions that we share, and one of the major reasons why we come on the same platform as well. So I know you started your journey in Poland and then had a tremendous growth over your career and met a lot of good people on your journey. And at the moment you have like moved out into a whole new country, building a new life over there. How does it all feel like, or what was your journey like, and what are you currently up to?
Well, Diya, you travel as well, so I guess you have very similar experience of the excitement, the joy, but also the fear of going out of your comfort zone, out of
Exactly.
the things you know every day. Like, you commute the same way, you speak to the same people. It's really a boost of energy, boost of new ideas. Once you leave that comfort zone, the fear is temporary. The regret will be forever. If you don't try it, you will never know. So for me, it was really a concept of how to do some exciting things. And I have to tell you, Diya, not many people probably know that Poland was a communist country, and I grew up in this communist country, so especially Americans are asking me, what was it like to grow up in this communist country, or did you feel oppression? And I just look at them and I say, that was the reality. I had to live this way, I had to commute by foot, I had to queue in a long queue to get toilet paper, or to get meat, or to get sugar, things that now we just go to a shop and pick it from the store. I had to queue, and I remember at one stage my mother was very cross with me because I was 6 years old and she put me in charge of queuing, and we were queuing there waiting for the delivery of meat, and some old people kind of pushed me away, and she came back and I was at the end of the queue because I had no confidence over these people. So that taught me a lesson. You have to have this confidence, you have to know when to say no, you have to speak up. So coming back to your original question about how did I make it? So in my childhood, my parents, because they grew up fearing the war, and my parents' parents, so my grandparents, they've gone through two wars. First World War and Second World War. My grandfather actually fought on both, and because his mother was German, he saved his ass, because when he was captured by Germans, they didn't kill him because he could speak German. Then he was captured by Russians, and the history goes on. But really, what my parents pushed me to do was, you're either going to be good at sport or music, because if you're good at either, you are going to survive through war, because you can run fast, or you can play nicely and Germans won't kill you. That was basically their thinking. So music opened the door to travels, because during communism you couldn't have a passport unless you were talented. So that way I could travel across Europe. And that was really a big revelation to me. That really built that seed of I want to see the world. So when I finally could travel without, communist finished, and I could travel, I could have my passport without long application, I went to London. And I was in 2006 after Poland joined European Union. And it really looked so exotic and so fascinating. I loved it. But then I had to go back because I had to look after my daughter. And it's not an easy trade. And I know many people in India have to travel to support their families. And that was my route. I traveled to support my family, to make a better living for my family. But really, it humbles you. The fact that I couldn't afford to rent a place. I had to rent a room with 7 other people, and we only had 2 bathrooms. So that was really difficult. And my husband at the time said, oh, what are you doing? Why do you do that? You're not really bringing that much money. But I knew that struggle is only temporary. And I can thrive in the future. I can build a better world for my daughter. So really what inspires me and what always motivates me is hard work. But I know that for women, it's not really easy because we work double hard and we never make it to the top. I mean, to get to managerial position, it takes a little bit longer. And I'm not just talking about sentiment or my own experience. The data shows that for women to be recognized as leaders, it takes much longer. To get hired or promoted, women have to provide proof, whereas men can just show potential. Because if you have a male recruiter who sits down with a woman, it's a completely different set of standards. When there is a man, it's like, well, I could have a beer after work with him. Well, he looks like me. Well, he can do the job, I guess. He looks like me 20 years ago. Whereas when he has a woman in front of him, it's like, has she done the job before? Is she going to manage, the work-life balance? Can she really go through this hardship of working when I know that she's got children to look after? So the system allows these unconscious biases to exist. And that's what I am doing right now when I set up my Women on IT movement. And it started by sitting very nicely in 2017 in Malta when I was invited to advise the government e-skills organization how to bring more women into technology. I knew that nothing will change if we just sit and advise policy and draft nice papers. Nothing will change because there is community out there, and I wanted to build this grassroots organization that meets, nurtures, support. This sisterhood was really important. However, and I'm sorry, stop me if you need to, but what was very important for me was inclusivity. What I mean by that is anybody can come. It's not just for women, because if we exclude 50% of our population to change this global problem, we are not going to get there. We need everybody involved because the biggest problems are shared problems. The ones that nobody owns, but everybody is affected by.
Exactly. That is one of the key things that we have also been noticing, and I don't know if it should be a point of concern or comfort that a lot of things are being felt the same way all across the world. Or maybe there are a lot of things that we can talk about and just understand. Okay, this is not something that I'm just like only that I am only facing. So I've seen like so that was like such a great story you had. The main reason why you started doing it, and the key takeaway I would definitely be saying is like the guilt is gonna be permanent, and the fear or the struggle is temporary. That is such a key takeaway from that, and something I think I will take it forward in my life as well. So I feel like Pehia and Women on IT, both of the organizations kind of came into the scene with the same kind of notion, which was the lack of women participants in the tech communities, or maybe in the tech forums or events. So what would so like when was the first time you noticed it? For us, I think I've shared the story with you when we were saying that we were not able to. A lot of girls were not able to go for a workshop. A hackathon, which was overnight, and not a lot of people would understand what it really meant, or like what the real reason was. So how was it for you? Like what what was that moment for you?
Yeah, for me it was really funny because I was not feeling confident in technology world. I was a user of technology. I was managing my company via technology, but I'm not a programmer. So I had this imposter syndrome. Can I run women on IT? Can I really be in charge of women in technology? And it started by just by coincidence. I spoke to a lady because I set up, co-founded a startup community back in Toruń in Poland. It's the birthplace of Nicolaus Copernicus. And we started it because we felt we need to bring more entrepreneurs together to discuss ideas, to, brainstorm. And one of my friends said, there is this Geek Girls Carrots. It's a community for women in tech. We've got to set it up. And I was like, I don't really feel like. I already have my business to run. I already have a startup community. But if you want to do it with me, that's okay. We can do it together. And so we did the first meetup. I spoke to the founder of Geek Girls Carrots. And Kamila Sidor, who is the founder of this, what started as a local organization, was encouraging me, you've got to do it. It doesn't matter you're not a techie, but because we need more women in tech. So I started this mission, and actually she told me the story. Kamila told me about the fact that she attended a startup weekend in Warsaw, in the capital city of Poland, and she noticed that out of 100 participants, there were only 7 women. And she thought, well, she needs to change that and have this inclusive forum of women in tech. So I was running this local chapter in Toruń for her. I helped as much as I could. I facilitated and helped organizing local chapters in Sydney, Dublin, Tokyo. And, after 5 years of helping her, I thought, okay, this is it. My job is done. I'm moving to Malta. I probably won't do that, because one of the things that I noticed that really bothered me was during these meetups, it's very inclusive. We support each other. We tell our stories. We advise each other. However, the problem I could see was all these ladies, all they wanted to was get a job in technology or get a better job, but not really go for higher positions. And I thought, well, the world is not going to change. And as you said, Diya, the problem is global problem, because everybody talks about this issue of we need more women in tech. But the pipeline is such that we have all these women at the bottom and nothing changes at the top. So we have this revolving door issue. We come, we feel alienated, we don't feel that we are being promoted, we have no chance for promotion or a fast track as men do. They get, as I said, hired or promoted on proof, whereas we have on potential, whereas we always have to show the proof. So, as you said, fast forward, as I said, fast forward, Vickers Carrots was the benchmark for understanding the problem, but really when I set up my woman on it, I decided we need more women on it, or women on IT, to really change the global perspective.
That's a wonderful way of putting a twist to the women on IT, women on it. That's really nice. And yes, I totally agree with the revolving door situation. But yes, a lot of people want women in IT. A lot of people want women because there's a lot of skills that women normally carry around, which can make all the work done very nicely, very easily, and very most impactfully also. But when it comes to the management area, or when it comes to the top more positions, the number of people reaching there, or the fights, maybe I would say, to reach that particular position is totally elevated, and that is one of the things that, yeah, that should maybe like change. So I have all the, so one of the things I've noticed is for women on IT, it's like engagement, education and empowerment of influential women in technology and entrepreneurship. So I know it's a huge responsibility, and that's a huge movement as well. So we were talking about, as you were talking about, like diversity versus inclusion. So for Pehia, we also started out with diversity, and later on we understood like more than diversity, maybe inclusion is more important. More than giving a push to the women into IT, more than that, maybe it is more important to have inclusivity. That is, letting no one gatekeep you from what you want to achieve, or letting no one stop you or glass you. So all of these things that I know, like it's all coming up very new. New thoughts are coming into the people, and I feel like the reason why that's happening is because of these kinds of discussions and people understanding that this is something that we definitely have to address. So what do you think? Like, is it? So are we really like giving them a push, or are we clearing the path for them towards their achievements? What do you think is more important? Or maybe to put it down, like, would diversity or inclusion would be required at this point of time?
Well, there is no ideal structure, and you mentioned diversity, inclusion. I would say that it's a chicken and egg situation, because if you have diversity without inclusive words, without actually focusing on unconscious bias, which is so harmful, when, for example, we hear things like, and I always put this, I put this example because this is something that I heard in Malta. One lady said she's working in a big tech company in Malta, and she told me that she heard from her manager that women cannot be managers because of their period. And so when I asked her, so what did you do? Did you say anything? Well, I didn't say, I didn't feel, you'd never question a manager who is senior to you. So really, when you ask me, how do you clear the path? I actually like to call it blow into your wings rather than clipping them. So these things like, saying these stereotypes or voicing these beliefs that are so toxic assumptions are definitely the things that are clipping our wings. So really hearing this positive message of you can do it, fear is temporary, regret is forever, that's something that I am focusing on. But there is something else that I like to build on, because I'm on my own. I have my assistant who is helping me with organizing meetups, workshops, and so on. However, I decided that I build my network my way, which means I want to be surrounded by leaders. There will be place for followers, don't get me wrong. But really, my job is going to be so much easier when I empower other women to do exactly what I'm doing or something different to fit their persona, because life is so much easier when we are ourselves, when we are, inclusivity means to me, that's exactly what it means. I can accept others with their foibles, with how they looks, whether it's funny looks or their quirky behaviors. And that is the beauty of, building a network or community, because you can't just have a community of women, because we are preaching diversity, but it's not very diverse mindset if you have a room full of women. So we need all the help we can get. We sometimes need to hear opinions of men. We need advocates in men. We need, as my favorite role model, Cindy Gallop says, we need champions. Not so much mentors, we need champions, somebody who is going to go out of their way to make sure that I am promoted, or you are promoted, or another sister, mother, daughter is promoted.
Exactly. That is so great, and a great way of putting that into the picture. So yes, so you've been in this journey for over like 4 years, and I'm pretty sure there might be like a lot of people who have inspired you, who have helped you set your goals into what you're trying to achieve, or maybe a lot of women or maybe like individuals to look up to when it comes to your work. So I was just wondering, like, what kind of woman do you look up to, or what would be the routine, or what might be the characteristics? You said it can be quirky, it can be like weird, or it can be anything that is out of normal. So, what other things do you think puts up to that aspiring person that you look up to? And maybe just a follow-up question to that itself. So, over these 4 years, based on those goals, based on those inspirations, what do you think was your major achievement, or one of the major impacts that you think you have made throughout this 4 years of journey?
Well, that's a long question. So let's start with role models. I think these are important because these people are going to inspire you, first of all, but also it's going to be so much easier when you see a path, what somebody did, how they did it. And it doesn't have to be one person, it can be many people. And it doesn't have to be a woman, it can be a man. However, when I am being asked who is your role model, I always mention a female, especially those who are not maybe on the Forbes magazine cover, or those who would never have a chance to shine. So going back to my greatest achievements, and I'm going to talk about this lady. I hope she doesn't mind, because one of the first meetings I organized in Malta in 2019, she came to me after the speech, after the panel. We spoke to other women in tech, and we talked about how to change our perspective and how to change our mindset. And she came to me and she had tears in her eyes. And she said, you know what, I'm so grateful, but also so crushed, because my daughter and my son were laughing at me when I said, when they asked me, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to this woman in tech event. And they laughed at me because my son said, you know nothing about technology. And I put it as my greatest achievement, that we can change the course, the path of our life, no matter your age. So you don't have to be very young to educate yourself and to learn new languages, or soft skills that are required for us to go to the top of the industry. And that's my greatest achievement. I changed the course of this woman because everybody in Malta was only focused on children's education. But I always preach for, if I want to change, I need to change the mindset. I need to make people think, do you think, are you sure that your mother never thought of becoming a CEO or managing director of a company? Did she have a choice? Was there a choice put in front of her? Would she choose to look after children, or would she choose to have a career? And since you're based in India, PepsiCo CEO always says, and I admire her for what she says, don't ever think that you can have it all. You can't have a career and you can't have a family. There is always this balance between one and the other. It's hard. However, I always remind mothers, your children are going to be so much happier when they see a happy mom. And happy mom is the one who is fulfilling her dreams.
Yeah, definitely. I agree to every single word of yours, and yeah, it brings me such a great honor to speak to you at this moment, knowing the impact that you have created, the small impacts. Here also believes a lot in that. We do not want a big event with 1,000+ attendees. We do not want a big movement where we get published in a lot of spaces. We want to make sure we make small change, even though the changes which are small, but the most impactful. The ones where we can make sure that we change at least one life, one course of time. And definitely with respect to the role models as well, it just will never be like, just be like into one person. You get values from different people. For me, like, I feel like I take a lot of values from my dad. I take a lot of values being a doctor. I feel like more values of being strong and knowing how to handle it all, coming from a working mom. I take that lessons from my mom. I do take a lot of inspiration in my career from my managers, especially my women managers back when I was working. So there's a lot of effect on a lot of people whom we interact. And definitely this conversation is also giving me a lot of insight and a lot of impact and a lot of thoughts also put into my head as well. So yeah, that was really great. That was really wonderful. Just like one last question, one of your recent projects and one that I have been like very eagerly looking forward to is the Positivity Hack Delivered, PhD. Can you like speak about that? How is that going on?
So it's funny because if it wasn't for pandemic, PhD wouldn't be a thing. So Positivity Hacks Delivered is this live stream that I host every Wednesday at 6 p.m. CET. That's 12 p.m. EST. I'm not sure what time it is in India. I would have to check, sorry. However, you can subscribe to our channel on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, and you will be notified once it goes live. And so going back to PhD, how did it come about? So we had a launch, as I mentioned, in 2019 with official opening and many stakeholders. UN's embassy was involved and was helping me. And then 2020, lockdown started. And I was thinking, shoot, I cannot organize any events. I cannot do anything. What about my community? I have to do something. So one of the first topics I picked was how to tackle the biggest virus, Fear 2020. Because everybody was affected by the pandemic, by the lockdown, and everybody was fearful of what may happen and how is this world going to end up? Are we all going to die? So this is what I focused on. And since the popular demand, I decided, okay, I better stick to it. And this format works well. So I invited speakers from all over the world. Topics are very, very broad. It's not just hard skills, so not only technology, but very much focus is on the soft skills side of things. So the ones that are harder to acquire, the communication, the speaking up, the how to tackle the fear. So these are the things that make us achieve greatness, achieve new salary increase, negotiation. All these things are necessary for us to make a big move in technology and in economy overall.
Great. I'm so happy that you're covering a lot of very practical, I would say, practical skills that you would never get to learn in the schools. And those
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
topics which are, yeah, those kind of topics which are very much required to be known for any individual, especially in their career. And that's like wonderful. So, like I'm so happy that you're doing this work, and I'm so, so happy that we got to talk over a lot of topics that we share the common interest with. A lot of things that we could do in future as well. And on behalf of Beata Foundation and all the other directors and all the audience as well. I really know this is gonna be such a great pleasure for everyone to listen to and to be a part of this conversation. Thank you, Beata, so much for
Thank you.
sharing your
Thank you,
journey.
Diya.
It was
One
great.
word, one message, if I can leave your audience with, is
Exactly.
P. P stands for progress. This is a perfect word because, when I look at back of my episodes, like at the beginning of doing PhD, Positivity Hacks Delivered, it was not looking pretty. I mean, I was stuttering, my questions were not structured properly. But now, 100 episodes later, I really know what tickles and what everybody wants to hear. So I have been always been really motivated by the fact that we want to see progress, not so much perfection.
Exactly. Wow, that is such a great closing message to the whole audience. Praise for progress, not perfection. And congratulations on your achievement of 100 episodes as well. Yay. And
Thank you. Yeah.
this was, yeah, thank you so much. And thank you so much for being part of the Founders Meet. And yeah, thank you so much. And we hope you also had a great time.
Yes, hug the future woman on IT.
Yes. Yeah, so thank you so much, and I wish you have a great day ahead, a great weekend ahead.
Oh,
Bye
I will.
bye.